the best part so far about Australia has been for our children. Um, they, I mean, they live so freely here in a way you could never live and ever will live in South Africa. They have the independence. They are more open-minded. As adults, it's far more difficult when you first arrive. But I would definitely say that I would prefer to be old in Australia than South Africa. I think older people are treated just really well here. The Australians don't seem to think that, but I think they're treated really well, very respectful.
Well, compared to what we know.
Absolutely. So for us in the long run, it will be better in the years to come. For now, it's not ideal, or it's not the best for us. I mean, of course, South Africa's not the place we want to be right now. We do miss a lot of people, and we do miss a lot of things about South Africa. But right now, it's for our children, and in the future, it will be for us.
I'm Dr. Chamonix Blanche, ex-corporate and academia girl, turned CEO and board member of several companies, and mother of 4 little extraordinary kids. But it wasn't that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the know-how, and the time to focus on designing and really going after the life that I so wanted to live. A life of freedom, of fairness, and of being fair dinkum to who I really was and what I wanted to get out of this fleeting time that we have on Mother Earth. Fast forward to many lessons learned and moving halfway around the world to the most amazing country, you'll see the life that I now live. One that gives me more safety and freedom than I ever thought would be possible, and that really only existed as a daydream while I was living in South Africa. I created Chamonix TV to give you true spot advice on how you can also live a life in this amazing country, and so that you can see how another couple like us now live in Australia with 4 little kids here in Down Under. And I'll be providing you with step-by-step strategies so that you can make your Aussie dream a reality too. If you're a keen future Aussie who's looking to create a life that excites you and offers you safety, freedom, and opportunity, you have come to the right place, my friend. Welcome aboard.
Hi, lovely, beautiful 2 ladies all the way from Budrum. How are you guys going today?
So far, so good. We're in lockdown, as I'm sure many other people are, but we've had a good day. We've had a good day doing lockdown things, cooking.
That's good, Elaine, and beautiful little Jules. So Jules, tell me a little bit about living in Australia. How long have you guys been here for?
Nearly 2 years.
And can you still remember having lived in South Africa?
Yeah, I can vividly remember, but some things like I don't remember, like when I was like young, like when I was like 4, I still can't remember.
So you have a sister. Tell us about your sister. How old is she?
She's 17, but really soon she's also gonna be
17.
Yeah.
And so it's your 17-year-old sister, almost 18, and yourself who's almost 9. And is there anybody else, or is it only the 2 of you?
Us too.
Wow, that is beautiful. So 2 girls. Mum, you are blessed.
2 girls, 2 dogs, and a husband.
Okay, a big family.
Yeah, we brought one of our dogs with us from South Africa. We brought Snoopy over with us, and Spike we got from the rescue centre here in Australia.
No.
And he turned out to be a bit more than we bargained for, but that sums up a lot of things in Australia, I think.
Yeah, so tell us about your trip to Australia. How long ago, and how did that work out for you guys? How did it start?
So I came to Australia in my 20s backpacking, as I think many people in their 20s did. They backpacked I think you either went to the UK or you came to Australia or you went to New Zealand, and I came to Australia. And I ended up doing most of my travels through Tasmania, not much of mainland, it just happened to be that way. And when I hit the cities of Melbourne and Sydney, just for a couple of days in each city, I just felt like I just always wanted to live in Australia. And that must be, I don't know, 20 something years ago. And I just had this thing that I just always wanted to come back and live in Australia. And anyway, I made my way back to South Africa, lived my life in South Africa. And I think just was always in the back of my mind that we wanted to come back here. And then I got married, and with hubby, with my eldest daughter and hubby, we moved to Brazil for 2 years. We lived in Sao Paulo for 2 years.
Because of work reasons?
For work, and that was another whole big adventure.
Mm.
And, Juliana was born in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. And then we moved back to Johannesburg when she was a couple of months old. And because we wanted to reconnect with family, because we had a little one. Back in South Africa, we were there a couple of years. And then I said, look, I think it's time to make our way back to Australia, because I think the cutoff age was 45 to do your application. And we were very close to that. So it gave us a time limit, and I think it pushed us. And if we hadn't had that time limit, it's one of those things you can just stay somewhere indefinitely and never make that leap, because when's the right time?
It's never the perfect time.
No.
You know what? Yesterday is the right time.
Absolutely. And in hindsight, we should have done it sooner. I think it's a little bit more difficult or challenging to start in your mid-40s, because you almost go back to your 20s when you come to Australia in many ways. Financially, you have to start again. In your careers, you have to start again. So we should have done it sooner. But anyway, be what it may. So we came, put in our application a couple of weeks before 45, being the cutoff date, and waited patiently, as I hear everyone saying, and in fact, impatiently. I think we waited, and when it came through, we had made the decision that we were going to. So we had assumed it would come through sooner than what it had. So we were one of those people that my husband will say I had done the wrong things. We packed up our house, took the girls out of school, sold our house, did everything, and then we waited for our visas while hopping from one Airbnb to the other, waiting. And anyway, it came 3 months later than we had expected. So we had 6 farewell parties, 10
and people are saying, are you gone yet?
Oh,
Have you come on?
Eventually they were laughing. They were saying, we don't actually think you're leaving. We think you just want to have a party. So
oh, great. I love that.
So we had said goodbye to people 100 times, and got to the point they stopped coming to the farewell parties. And
that's when you knew it was time to leave. When it's
time to go. And then the visas just arrived. I think when we had actually reached a point of desperation, when we didn't know what to do, we put in the girl. They had already left school, said goodbye to school, and then we put them back in school. And then last minute the visa came through, and we couldn't get a flight. Flights were then a problem because suddenly everyone was.
So when was this?
2019. So we arrived September 2019. So phoned the estate agent that night, said the visas have come, we want to leave tomorrow. And she said, oh, there's no flights for 2 weeks, because the whole world was immigrating at that stage. Literally everyone was immigrating. We couldn't, even when we'd packed up our container, they said there was a backlog. There were so many containers leaving. That's why the visas took so long. The whole world was applying. So yeah, we left 2 weeks later. So we had another farewell party, as you know. And packed we had 2 suitcases each. We packed our 8 suitcases for the 8th time and jumped on a flight, and then here we arrived. Here we were.
Oh my goodness. And that was straight into Budrum?
Straight into Budrum. So my mom and her husband have been here for 11 years. My sister lives in Melbourne. They had come ahead of us, which is very strange. Most African families do it the other way around. So my mom had come before, and we had been here on quite a few holidays and visits. So we fell in love with Sunny Coast, and I don't know how many other places are as beautiful as this in the world and as laid back. It's a little quiet for us sometimes, coming from Joburg and having lived in Brazil. So yeah, we arrived, Sunny Coast. The girls had 2 months left of the term before the year ended, and everyone had advised that we came straight away because the December holidays here are so long. They're like 2 months long.
Is she in a public or a private school?
So they go to a Lutheran school down the road, a private school just down the road from the house. And we found the sports is a bit different here. The way it works is that at school in South Africa, you have all the sports and everyone plays sports, and sometimes you don't even have an option. You have to play sport. And we still haven't figured out actually how it works. We're still trying to find out how it all works. But you have to almost play sports in clubs here. There's not really school sports. So Julie plays netball for the school, but it's also part of like a netball club association. So it's for the school, but it's not really for the school. I don't understand it, but it is, but it isn't.
Yeah, that's the same way that we're finding it as well. So, Mum, tell me a little bit about having settled the children into the Australian schooling system. How is it different or not different for you from compared to South Africa? Which city in South Africa were you from again?
Johannesburg.
Joburg.
So we were in Joburg, and we also lived in Salt Rock for a little while in Durbs, and then living in Brazil, and then in Australia. So we have a few different comparisons to make. And I would say that the schooling system in Australia so far has been superior. And funny enough, when we left South Africa, everyone had been saying that when you get to Australia, they automatically bump your kids up 1 year. Everyone had told us that for some reason. But when we got there, we never had that. And I don't know if it's because of the girls' birth dates, because the cutoff date, I think, is end of June, so from 1st of July. So because the girls' birthdays were July and August, they were left in the year that we had arrived, the same grades. And everyone had also said that South African, according to them, the South African schooling systems was way ahead and streaks ahead, and I never found that at all. And I've just found their schooling here has been great. It's just, and it's so inclusive, and it allows the kids who are not the same level as everyone else to catch up, and it allows everyone the same chance. Everyone gets a second chance in Australia. That's what I found. That's been the best part for us, is everyone gets a second chance. There's enough for everyone. There's no feeling of anxiety. All the kids are okay. Everyone will be okay. And it's definitely less driven. Like South Africa, everyone was under this pressure to,
perform,
be the top, and only the top 3 got acknowledged, and no one else, everyone else just fell by the wayside. And I find it the exact opposite here.
Yeah.
So it seems here that the harder you perform, you kind of then just left to do your own thing. And the kids who are in the middle and kind of falling behind are given a lot more attention and help and assistance. And so yeah, it's completely different from that aspect. So you have to really adjust. You have to change your mind from coming from, especially my eldest, my teenager, she's now in grade 12. So she's just thrived here. It was like she was born for Australia.
Oh, wow.
When we arrived. So I always thought we would battle with the teenager, and then Julie would just drop in and everything would be okay. And in fact, it's Julie who's had more trouble adjusting.
Okay.
And Gemma's just arrived, landed, she's hit the ground running. And I think for her, the best is that as a teenager, she's suddenly got all this independence, nothing to appreciate more than Julie at this stage.
Because they can drive at 17 here.
She's driving. She has it's been a long day. She has her P plate. She had a job. She's done everything that she couldn't have done by this stage in South Africa. It's been a completely different world. She's managed to do all the subjects that she would never have had in South Africa at her school. So she's had a great choice subject selection here. I found the school subject choices in South Africa were still a little outdated now that we're here. And it's been a great opportunity for Gemma. She's really thriving. She's loving her schooling. I think she's going to exit doing quite well.
What's your plans after the end of this year?
So it gets tricky because we're only applying for permanent residency in September, once you've been here for 2 years, because we came on a 489 visa. So we had to live in a regional area, being Sunny Coast, and it could have been worse, I suppose.
That's so not regional, really, if you think about it. It's like
perfect region.
Yeah, wow.
So we've had to live here for 2 years and work for 1 year before we can apply for residency. So we apply in September, October, we'll apply. And only once we've got residency can Gemma study, because, my goodness, Jules. Only once we've got residency, because otherwise we pay international students fees, and it's just too expensive to do that. So she'll take a gap year next year while we wait for residency. And then I think she's going to go study design. She's turned out to be an amazing design student, which she would never have discovered back in SA.
That's awesome. Yeah. She could probably find an internship somewhere if she wanted to for that gap year.
Perhaps, yeah. And also game design she's quite interested in. So I think that's what we'll do. Look at her doing something for the year just to keep her in the time frame.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I found about Australia, is that there are so many opportunities for children to go and learn and try things and get an opportunity to try out a kind of occupation or...
Yeah, so it's exactly like that. And I think that sums up Australia, that everyone is able to change and adapt and change your career, change your focus, change whatever you want, and there's an opportunity to reinvent yourself over and over again. And you know, in South Africa, you studied something, and that was kind of the job that you did and the work that you did, and you just seem to stay in that job.
Yeah.
The mindset is not like that at all. People just seem to change careers in their 40s, their 50s. You know, you can just study something else and you just
reinvent yourself.
Absolutely. And I think a big part of immigrating is reinventing yourself, because you arrive one person and it's not the person Australia's been waiting for, you know, and I think that's what we think. We think Australia's waiting for us and we're going to arrive and make this great jobs.
Roll out the red carpet.
They don't, you know, no one's waiting for you when you arrive. And I think that's the shock. And you have to work it all out, reinvent yourself, start again, you know, fit in.
I love your pillows and your wall pictures there of all the cows. It's beautiful.
So do you know, when we came over, we brought very little. We brought 2 suitcases and we sold all the furniture. We sold all our electronics. We sold everything, our beds especially, because we'd made that mistake moving to Brazil and taking everything with us. When we arrived there, we actually found we didn't want or need any of it. So we brought so little with us. And one of the things I brought was my cow prints and my cow cushions.
I love it.
Just a couple of ornaments, decor things, but yeah, and some of the
stuff
toys
that could fit in your suitcase.
Absolutely. Well, we actually took a very small portion of someone else's container, so that's why we had to wait till their stuff came. But that's
a great way to do it as well. I also did that. The last question I have for you, Elaine, is what's the best thing for you about living in Australia? And if some of our viewers are considering coming over, what would you say to them?
So I would say the best part so far about Australia has been for our children. They live so freely here in a way you could never live and ever will live in South Africa. They have the independence. They are more open-minded. As adults, it's far more difficult when you first arrive. But I would definitely say that I would prefer to be old in Australia than South Africa. I think older people are treated just really well here. The Australians don't seem to think that, but I think they're treated really well, very respectful.
Well, compared to what we know.
Absolutely. So for us in the long run, it will be better in the years to come. For now, it's not ideal, or it's not the best for us. I mean, of course, South Africa's not the place we want to be right now. We do miss a lot of people and we do miss a lot of things about South Africa. But right now, it's for our children, and in the future, it will be for us. I think Australia is a great place. I would have come a little sooner, like we'd said earlier, I would have come a little bit sooner. It's a great place to get old because you got your super here. Everyone's forced to have a pension. I don't think in South Africa we think about our future. I think we just always assume we're going to be taken care of because life is so much easier there in one way. Whereas here you're forced to think about your pension, your super. I mean, Gemma's 17. She already has a pension, a super, you know. So it's definitely something you've got to do for the future is coming.
That's great.
It's not ideal in the beginning, but it'll be ideal for us in the end.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us and explaining to us how you guys have traveled all over the world pretty much and decided to pick Australia to come and get old in.
Well, we'll see you in 20 years time when we're all settled and old and have grandchildren maybe.
And then we'll have coffee with a Knartzy whiskey or something in, and we'll sit on the stoop and look at the cows.
We'll still be dipping our Omas.
Oh yeah, I certainly will, definitely. I still buy my Omas just in the grocery store because people don't realize it. And I have my Omas every weekend morning when I treat myself in bed. I'm like, dip a Oma.
And camping, the best thing about Australia, you asked about the best thing, it's camping. The camping. We haven't camped much, but it's an option here, right? And the camping is great.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Elaine. And thanks to Jules again for joining us. I can't hear when you have settled into your citizenship. 2 years, a little bit more than 2 years from now. Fingers crossed. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you had fun, please remember to hit that subscribe button and then it'll make sure that you never miss a thing. I'll see you same time and same place next week. Bye for now.